Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on this webinar with Ambassify and Startdeliver. Hey Johan, thank you so much for joining. Let's just wait maybe 1 or 2 minutes until some more people have the access to the webinar, and then we can kick it off.
Yeah, great to be here. Looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite topics, advocacy. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, definitely. I hope so too. Mine as well. So yeah, great. I see that some people are getting in, so that's nice to see. Maybe
Yes.
to start things off, yes, Johan, again, thanks for joining me on this webinar. Maybe you can quickly introduce yourself, and then we can get this thing going.
Yes, I'm Johan. I'm Swedish. I'm a founder and CEO of Startdeliver and also co-founder to Impact Academy. I have a long background working in SaaS and working with customer success specifically. And one of the goals with customer success is to get more advocates and get more advocacy, basically, from your customers. And that's where we're going to spend some time today, of course. Here are some of my contact details. So feel free to reach out to me, connect on LinkedIn, or send me an email or get in touch. I'm happy to hear from you in any way after the webinar, of course. But what we do basically, so Startdeliver, we make a customer success platform, so a tool to help you work with your customer base efficiently and data-driven. So that's one part, and then we have Impact Academy, which is our training programs for customer success management. So both for leaders in customer success and customer success managers. So we have several different programs there at Impact Academy.
Yeah, interesting. Thanks for sharing. So my name is Elise. I'm the head of customer success at Ambassify. So I'm all in on customer success. And at Ambassify, we really believe that your employees are your most important asset when it comes to employee advocacy, and that they can help you increase brand awareness and, of course, reach. But we also believe in collaborating with your employees, and that it's not just a one-way street of you asking your employees to share content, but that it's really like a culture thing as well. So I've been working at Ambassify for 5 years now, and I'm looking forward to our discussion today. So we're first going to do a brief introduction on what is advocacy to us, and we'll also talk a bit about it, and then I'll share some customer success like stories from our customers at Ambassify, and Johan from Startdeliver, you will also share about your experiences with customer advocacy. So that's a bit it. So let's get
no, but I think there's a lot of parallels between employee advocacy and customer advocacy, and that's, I guess, what we want to highlight today. But maybe Elise, maybe we should start by, for anyone new to this, what do we mean with advocacy, and maybe we should break it down a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea. And also, if you have any questions for us, for me, or for Johan, feel free to type them in the chat, and we will have some time at the end for a brief Q&A.
Absolutely.
So my definition of advocacy is that basically your people, they can share their experiences and their knowledge on social media in a positive way. And like for us, we mainly focus on the employee advocacy part, but it can also be your customers, your partners, etc. It's mainly about collaborating. It's about building a relationship, and it's not just building. It's not just about sharing content. So that's really the essence for me.
Yeah. No, and I can pick up on that. I have several times. A few of the best recruits I ever done. New people coming into my company has been on recommendations, basically other people recommending them to apply and so on. So I know instinctively how important employee advocacy is. But I also know that it's something you kind of, yeah, you know it's a lot of value there, but it's something very few focuses on and have a structure and process around. So for Elise, there, just a question to you there. If you want to get started with this, like if you don't have a program, if you don't have a clear process around this, where should one begin?
Yeah, I think to start off with an actual program on it is that you also have to create a culture for it, that's open to advocacy. And it's about like collaborating with your employees, relationship building. It involves some change management as well, because you want to start with something new. And you have to explain to your employees in this case, like, why is it important for our company? And as well, like what's mainly important is what's in it for you as an ambassador, like why is it worth it to participate? And first you can start with identifying who your ambassadors are.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are actually willing to talk about your brand.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have all your customers or all your employees involved from the beginning. It's
Right.
mainly the people that are actually like willing to advocate for your brand, and making sure that that specific group of people is active enough. And then the next step is scaling it. And that's what
Yeah.
we were also going to discuss today,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
I'm curious there, what's in it for them? How, do you know, is there any specifics there? What can that be?
Yeah.
Examples?
Yeah, definitely. Like when we what we see with customers, and when they first start talking about what's in it for you as an ambassador to join such a program, it's about one thing is that they can easily find the content to share on their own
Yeah.
social media profiles, and that they can become more active on social media.
Yeah.
And so like when they become more active and they can talk about their like brand and what they
Yeah.
do on a day-to-day basis, they can also overcome more like as an expert, as
Yeah.
a thought leader. And when you become more active on LinkedIn, you also start commenting more, and like we see that the interaction rate going up. So that's
Yeah.
one thing. And then the other thing is also like being recognized as an
Yeah.
ambassador, and you can show off the like the prideness that you have for
Yeah.
working for the company. Yeah.
So they're building their own career or their own persona or their own profile, I mean, on LinkedIn by being an ambassador and promoting the company, and that's what's of course interesting from a employee point of view to become more visible, more promoting your company and having a more social presence, social media presence, basically.
Yeah. And also the recognition is a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
proud, showing that where you work, your being proud of your work, where you work, and your employer and the brand and the company, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's mostly for like employee advocacy. I think those are like important elements to have.
Yeah.
But like you want, what are some of the when talking about customer advocacy, what are according to you some of the most common roadblocks when you want to get more
Right.
customers to advocate for your brand?
Yeah, no, I think everybody agrees that advocacy is very important, and I think everyone who's been in sales or been selling to bringing in customers know how big impact it can have if a customer comes in as based on recommendations, for instance, or having people doing testimonials or being references. So I think everybody understands the importance of advocacy and how that plays into getting new customers, basically. But I also know firsthand how this is not. There's rarely, I mean, very few or a lot of people have still a lot to do when it comes to building a process around it, having a structure around it. So I think it's done very ad hoc, very like spontaneously, but it's not in a very processed manner. Basically, I think that's one of the symptoms. But if you and the roadblock, I would say here is that it's who is responsible for this. Sometimes it's not clear who is the one. Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it customer success? I think that's one part of the thing is to if you want to get a structure around it, if you want to grow the number of advocates you have and the focus on it, basically, you need to be clear on who is going to do what. Customer success, which is our home turf, we believe customer success have a big impact on this and can drive this. But you also have to realize they have a lot of other things on their table as well. So that's another roadblock, I would say.
Yeah, no, definitely. Do you feel that customer success is mainly responsible for driving like the customer advocacy, and that then marketing can take care of like actually like getting the reviews, for example, out there? What's your opinion on this?
No, I think I'll get to that a little bit later as well, how you can get going on this. But I think customer success, we are responsible for all existing customers, and we are the ones working closest with them. We are we are helping them achieve their business goals with our tool, and we should definitely be helping the organization get references, get advocates, whatever type you prefer there. But we need help here because we are usually very busy. I would say most cases over capacity, basically. So we need marketing, we need probably sales, we need help from management to structure this and have processes for it. Of course, it helps when you have tools for this, but you probably need to start just mapping out what type of references and advocates you want, and how we can structure and orchestrate that we keep getting them, basically.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's right. Is there any low-hanging fruit, according to you, when you start building a customer advocacy program?
Yeah. No, I think there are, of course. And I think the first things you can do here, of course, is to if you want to build a process around it and not do these ad hoc things, of course, you can just set up to have when you collect sentiment like NPS or customer satisfaction, all those type of service, and when you get a response there that is positive, then you should, of course, have an automated ask, or at least try to have some sort of an ask where you ask them also if they can help you out as an advocate for. If it's a referral, if it's a review site, or if it's just to make a testimonial, can I use that quote from your survey response on our web? Whatever it is, to have some structure around that, I think that's quite low-hanging fruit. I would say in general, everybody is a little bit too afraid to ask people to be advocates, and I think that's also something you need, as you said there. It's about the internal culture as well. We should not be afraid to ask people to be advocates in one way or the other, because in general we ask that question we don't ask it enough, basically. So I think that's also something to change, that you can do today, even just to change the culture, or work on changing the culture in that aspect.
Yeah, no, I agree. Do you think that there's like a scenario when you cannot ask a customer to advocate for you?
No, but there is, and I think that's why I think customer success should really be owning this, because if you ask a customer that's not happy with your product, not happy with the progress they're making, they're not achieving their business outcomes, if they're actually like a demoter, or they are actually not a supporter of you, and if you ask them to be a reference, that can actually reinforce. I mean, that can even make them even more angry with you or less happy with you as a vendor. So you should be very careful of who you ask to be a reference, of course. So and here's where customer success. Basically, if we do customer success properly, we know where the customers are, and are they on the track? Do they have good progress with us? Are they achieving their business outcomes and business goals? Then those type of customers we should ask. But if they're struggling, if they have low usage, if they're not working in our platform, asking that type of customer to be a reference shows that we don't understand how things are, and we can actually make them even they might even be, we might even be worse off by asking them, actually.
Yeah, yeah, you have to know the right time and the place to ask those specific customers that are ready
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
And just to follow up on that, back to what you said about employee advocates, is that similar to when you have some employees that are strong ambassadors of the company, of the company, and want to talk about that in social media. It's because it's part of their identity. They're working at your company, and they are proud of it, and they want more great people to join the company. It's part of their identity. In the same way, if you have customers that are happy with you, or getting value from your product, if you ask them to be advocates, they will become actually even more satisfied customers as well, because that's going to be part of their identity, that they are promoting your product, they're promoting your company, and they will want to that reinforces actually the relationship with the company.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important who you ask. Of course, you don't want to ask the wrong type of users and customers, but the ones you do ask, that will actually help you. First of all, you will get more advocates, but you will also they will usually commit more to you and do more with you by asking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I agree. Let's maybe hop into some stats.
Yes.
Because with 80, like, we're talking about advocacy and scaling word of mouth, and we as you said, we're all very much aware of the importance of personal recommendations, but I think these stats just really prove like how important they are. Like with 84% of consumers prioritizing recommendations from people they know, it definitely shows the impact that it can have on like brand perception and also purchasing decisions, because eventually we want to change the consumer's behavior into buying our brand, into committing to our brand. And like 82% of consumers, they actively seek referrals from people that they know before they make a purchasing decision. And it also goes for employee advocacy, like with referrals. Like when you want to apply for a company, you're definitely interested in like what the people think about the company who actually work there. So that's why those like testimonials, reviews, etc. are so important. And there's also a much higher conversion rate of people that hear about a product from someone that they know and that can influence these recommendations and these thoughts about it. And it can also help with the awareness. So I think that's just really, really important. Yeah.
Yeah, super interesting numbers here.
Yeah. So I thought it could be a nice idea to take a look at some customer examples that for us really show what it's all about, like scaling word of mouth. And one of the customers I've chosen today is called Renewy. They're an international waste to product company, and they focus on recycling and a more sustainable and circular economy. And their ambassador community is called Proud Nui, which is, I think, a cool name because it already gives a bit of an idea of what it's all about. It's about the employees being proud to work for Renui. And yeah, some smart little background on it. They have a growing community of ambassadors. It's they have about over 500 ambassadors at the moment, and they want to grow towards 800, which is a nice scaling, of course. And the focus is for them is not just having on the employees sharing the content on social media, but it's also about teaching them to become better social sellers, to become stronger on LinkedIn. So they also take that into consideration. And yeah, it's about sharing vacancies, sharing news, but also like establishing that thought leadership for the employees. So a couple of things that Renui did to scale the program, and one I already mentioned it, is the user training.
Yes.
I think that's like a pretty important topic because one, you first want to have like platform training and to show like how easy it is to become a brand ambassador and how easy it is to share. And as well, like the social media training or social selling workshops, it can also help to convince the employees as well and to make them a bit more confident of being active on those platforms if they weren't before. And yeah, they can also share those tips and tricks offline or online during like webinars as we are doing today, but they can also share these tips and tricks on the platform, like how to become more active on LinkedIn. That's very, very helpful. Another thing that they did, and we were both talking about referrals before. It can also work when you're like scaling your employee advocacy program, because your existing ambassadors, your existing employee advocates, they are the best advocates for the program, because word of mouth works very well on the work floor as well, like at the coffee machine, when they talk about like being an ambassador, or maybe, yeah. So, and they also did this like specific campaign where they asked their existing employee ambassadors to get other employee ambassadors on board, and it can go very fast. Like they had 60 new employee ambassadors in less than an hour by just specifically launching this initiative.
Amazing.
So yeah. And yeah, you also want to be where your employee ambassadors are. So that's why they also pushed or heavily promoted the fact of having a mobile app where you can just share very easily through the app. They can share from anywhere at any time. And yeah, we're all very used to this, like being online on your phone. So I think this also definitely helps to scale the program. And then last but not least, we see that typically our customers that have some kind of like rewards and gamification have higher interaction rates of almost 50%.
Yeah.
So that's also why they decided to implement some rewards, people being active as active ambassadors. And they've chosen for like online vouchers just to make it easier to handle the reward management as well. So this is just a nice way of recognizing the ambassadors for their efforts.
Yeah.
I think.
A question there, just parallel to customer advocacy here. In our experience, the main reason for an advocate advocating for you is because they really see they get value from the product, and they like the product, and they like the brand and the company and so on. But of course they appreciate the reward, but it's usually not the main thing, right? Is that your take on it as well, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't need to have a rewarding program in order to have active advocates. But I think the most important thing is the intrinsic motivation.
Mm, yeah,
Like you just want to do it because you are happy with and you want to spread the message from
yeah,
the company or from the brand that you work with.
yeah,
That's the most important thing. And then the gamification is just a nice add-on. Uh,
exactly.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like almost thanking them for doing it more than the actual, so you don't want to end up them feeling like you give the reward for them because they did the reference or they were the reference or so.
No, no, no,
That could
exactly.
actually backfire even. It could make someone be less keen to be an advocate, actually.
You don't want them to feel bought or anything like.
Exactly. Right. Right.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that was a little example from Renewy.
Yeah.
Another customer of ours with a very nice growth path is Securex. They're an international HR company, and they provide services in the field of like administration and HR for employers and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And like I'm saying it already, like their aim was really to focus more on the actual relationships rather than
Mm,
just asking your employees to share content online.
mm,
And so they do want to increase the reach on social
yeah.
media because ultimately like that's the whole point of advocacy, but they want to build a real community.
Mm,
And they have some awesome results after a year, to be honest. Like almost like 20% of their employees became ambassadors, which is great. And they also like saved like 60K in like what they didn't have to spend on advertising
mm,
budget by just like enabling their employees to share content on their network and increasing the reach. And how did they do this? Like they used a variety of different campaign types. I'm talking about campaign types. It's like a variety of different asks to
yeah.
the employees, like sharing, like liking and commenting, but
Mm,
also feedback. Like the
mm,
employees can also provide feedback on what they find interesting to share. They
mm,
can create their own content, like user-generated content. That's also
mm,
like a big thing because it's more trustworthy.
yeah.
And they also ask their employees to leave reviews, a bit like it's a bit similar to what you can do with customer advocacy as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just a
right?
question there. Is it who manages the content there? Is that someone in the people organization and then sharing it, enabling it for employees to pick and choose from the content, or how do people do that?
Yeah, yeah, indeed. It's a bit of it's often a bit a combination of both. It can be, for example, the marketing team who's
Mm,
managing the platform, but they also get help from HR or they get
yeah.
help from employer branding. It's a bit,
Mm,
and then they can indeed provide the content
yeah.
to share, and then the employees can choose from the content that's provided, what do they find interesting to use and share, and they can even like turn it into their own message.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not just about here's the content, you go share it, but
No.
it's about co-creation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's usually the main thing stopping people from being more active on social media is that they have to come up with the posts and the content and they kind of stop there basically. So I guess enabling that is one of the keys to have everybody talking more in social media yeah, about your company or your employer.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They don't know what to write or they don't know if it's like safe to talk about it
Yeah,
online.
exactly.
That's where like having an overview of the available content comes in very handy indeed.
Mm,
Yeah, this one is also I think a nice example because they asked their employees like, what do you want to help us improve our score on Glassdoor? Uh,
mm,
where they basically asked the ambassadors to write reviews on
yeah.
it. and they managed to improve their score to 4.6 on 5, which was which was great, and it was just in like less than a day they managed to get 97 extra reviews on it, which is huge. I don't think
Nice.
that you could do this without a program.
Yeah. And this is, of course, something you need to keep ongoing. I mean, this is where we have the parallels here in customer advocacy, where you have these review sites, if it's G2 or Capterra or any of the other ones like Trustpilot and so on. I mean, that's something you need to keep that updated and keep adding reviews, right? Like Glassdoor is the same thing. So you don't you don't want 5-year-old reviews there only, right?
No,
And
no,
that's
no.
where you need this process and structure. And I think this is, I think one of the main things in our message today is that how you need to work on it regularly, not just ad hoc once in a year or once every 2 quarters or whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like it's an ongoing process. You also have like new ambassadors coming in, and then you can ask them again to leave the reviews. And like it's the same with new customers. They start with you, you establish a relationship with them, you help them become successful, and then you can ask them to write a review. So yeah, no, it's a constant process. Yeah. Like last point I wanted to share on them is also that they heavily involve leadership, and they have management fully back up the project. They understand why it's important, and they also talk about it with their teams. And it can also help with that culture building, when you see that management is also actively participating on it. It can also have an impact on like the adoption rate of the advocacy program, I think. So yeah, and then this is the last example that I wanted to give. It's on like it's a bit a combination of both. We announced our collab with them, and then they asked their advocates to go and like and comment on it. So yeah, it's a combination of customer advocacy and employee advocacy. And like with the customer advocacy, Johan, I think that I can give the floor to you. Like, what are your insights on it?
Yes, no, but I think some of these things we touched on already, but I just want to make sure we get the point across here that customer advocacy basically, it's a great way to expand your addressable market, basically to say people recommend your product, people talk about your product in a good way, that will help you reach more customers, basically, number one. Number two here is one of the key metrics in SaaS in all businesses actually, but it's customer acquisition cost is a very key metric, where it's basically how much does it cost us to get a new customer. And as we all know, if you get a new customer based on recommendations, the sales process usually goes quite fast. You don't have to spend a lot of time, resources to get the new customer. So the acquisition cost goes down, and the efficiency basically improves here. So that's another reason to do customer advocacy. And also customer lifetime value. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, like if you work actively on having customers advocating for you, they will actually stay longer. So they will actually be a customer of yours for a longer period of time. And the more advocates you get, the more it's also going to grow your number of advocates. So it's a very important thing to focus on, and it's going to help on many of your key metrics, which probably is revenue, but it's also net revenue retention. All these key metrics, advocacy have a big impact on them. It's, however, usually harder to measure the leading indicators for advocacy, but I'll share a few of those as well. But this is why you as a company should focus on it. What's also important to talk about here is that you have in customer advocacy, you have to look at both companies. Company is your customer, but on the company you have people, of course, working there, and you have different personas and you have different stakeholders usually, and you can have advocates on several different several different ways. You can have advocates that are the leadership team, the C-levels. You can have the operations team, the users. You can have advocates on several levels, and they want to be advocates in different scenarios as well. So just as an example, maybe you will have one of your customers, depends of course on who is your stakeholder here, but say it's a CFO. Maybe you want the CFO on one of your main customers to present and be part of your annual conference or your big event you have. That's one type of advocacy that you can have. And but at the same company, maybe you have your super user being a controller. Maybe you want that person to write a review on G2 or a reference site. So you can have different advocates in the same company. I think that's an important point to make as well. We talked about this advocacy rule number 1 here. We don't want to ask unsuccessful customers to advocate for us, basically. I talked about that already. Here is where customer success has to, we as customer success, we want to intervene, we want to get them going again, we want to get them back on track and start having progress with them and start achieving milestones and eventually the business goals the customer wants. But when we do that, that's a good way to say, to also orchestrate. So I know we're not up and running yet, but when we get to when we start hitting these milestones or achieving these outcomes, is it okay that I ask you to be advocate for us or to talk about us if we get there? So you can also start orchestrating even a customer that's not successful right now, but you can set them up for asking them to be an advocate later on. So that was rule number 1. And rule number 2 here is basically we need to also be careful so we don't ask the same customer, the same advocate all over again. I think everybody has a bad conscience here and probably done this. We have one advocate that's been great for us, that's been giving testimonials, that being a reference, and we brought them into sales calls. Perhaps we had customers or prospects talking to them and so on. We can't overuse them. This can also actually backfire, and they might stop being an advocate even though just because we ask too many times, right? So this is also why you need a process. You need to keep adding new advocates all the time. Yeah, one of the most common questions here we get is, okay, how do we do this? How do we make a structure around this? And here you need to map out a little bit, depending on the life cycle stages, depending on the type of stakeholders and users you have, when and where can we actually make this ask, and when is that appropriate? And what we like to think about here is when the customer is having progress, you can actually have a customer advocating for you after an onboarding. If you just set it up right and the purpose, what the purpose is. Maybe you want them to advocate for how easy it is to onboard your platform. Then you have a very clear intent to say, hey, now this is the plan, this is how we're going to get you up and going. If we do this, if you are happy with this, is it okay for me to ask you to tell other people about this in a video or in a comment or in whatever format you want, right? And most people will of course say yes, because it's before, and then you can follow up on that if we are successful, of course, onboarding them fast, easy, and with great outcomes. So there's you can look at advocacy. I think you need to open your eyes a little bit and see all these opportunities you have to make an ask, and then of course you need to also get away from. You can have these ad hoc advocacy requests. I don't think we ever get away with that. Sometimes we need a specific reference in a specific segment, a specific industry, and then we need to reach out to them and ask for it. But we need to also build the structures and process around it, and what we at Impact Academy like to call orchestrated advocacy, basically, where we identified several parts in the life cycle stages of a customer where we want to ask for advocacy, and then we need to basically have team and people to do that. And I introduced a few things here, but I also wanted to mention that we have at Impact Academy, we have a training program specifically around advocacy, customer advocacy, that is. And here we go through a lot of things and basically help you build your own advocacy program. So you will get frameworks, you will get tools, and you will actually, during the program, start building your own advocacy program, basically, that you can implement and start using in your business. So I just wanted to highlight that. It starts the 22nd of April. So there's, in just a few weeks. So make sure to check that out. We can send the link to you, but you find it, otherwise you just Google Impact Academy training programs and you will find it.
Yeah, I think very solid insights on customer advocacy as well, Johan. Also helpful for us at customer success here at Ambassify. All right. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great. I really appreciate this topic, and I think I learned a lot also about employee advocacy, which is I think something everybody can start working on as well, following this.
Yeah, I agree. Let us maybe take a look at the questions as well, if there are any. I think this one is maybe also an interesting one. Like, how do you keep the customer advocates engaged, Johan?
No, exactly. Great question. I think this is also one of the common mistakes, that we kind of take an advocate for granted. It's like milk. You have a best before date on milk. It's the same with advocacy. But the good thing here is that you can keep them, if you keep delivering, if you keep helping your customer get more and more value from your product, they will stay advocates. But you can't take that for granted. So you need to. It's something you need to kind of keep active and make sure, not take it for granted is number one, I would say. And like I would say in general, what's important with customer success is that progress is key. The customer needs to do more and more and more. What's good maybe year one with your product, it's not going to be good year 5. So you need to improve things and continuously develop the customer and help them achieve more and more. If you do that, you will have an advocate forever. But if you forget about that and you just take the advocate for granted, then that could lead to also something backfiring, actually, and them being not an advocate anymore.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I see another question. Would you combine an employee and customer advocacy program, Elise, and why or why not? I think you can definitely combine it. It's not just one thing that you have to do solely in, like for us in our platform. You can also make specific target groups. Like you can have specific asks and campaigns that are targeted just solely at your employees, but you can easily have a separate group that's for your customers. And you mentioned like have a real process in place where you can also filter on like where they are in that customer life cycle, and maybe that information is coming from customer success, and you can have that also imported into like the platform you're using for advocacy, and then making sure that you contact the right customers at the right time. And then do a combination of the both in one platform. Like, why not? Yeah, definitely. And have marketing support it as well. Yeah.
No, but we have to remember it's people, right? It's people using our platform, it's people working at our company, and it's people that we want to attract, right? If it's new employees or if it's more new customers.
Yeah.
And people like to trust other people that they know and they respect or they think good of. So I've seen this as well, like developers in my company who's been very active on social media, and basically someone having a big respect for this person working at the company, also looking for our software, basically coming in that way. So it's I think there's a lot of commonality between how you work with the processes, set it up, but it's also, we need to remember it's people, and the more the people are proud of our company, our product, they will attract both employees and customers.
Yeah. I see that we're we're running a bit out of time, so we maybe want to wrap up here. If you asked another question in the chat, we will definitely get back to you later on with some more information. I think maybe just 3 key takeaways for me is that it's like about getting a structure, whether it's doing advocacy, customer advocacy, or focusing on your employees. Focus on the relationship building, and it's quality over quantity. But yeah, thank you so much, Johan, for doing this webinar with me. It was very nice. And I hope to see you all again soon.
Yes. Thank you, Elise. It was super. And thanks everyone for listening in.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.